Hi Nishan,
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm sorry for the delay.
No worries, it's
Have
okay.
happened. Today there
Yeah,
was rescheduled.
finally we are here, right?
Yeah, finally we are here. That
Yeah.
all matters. So how are you? How are things in Canada?
Yeah, everything is good and things are trying to like be normal and this is the new normal now. So yeah, the companies are starting to open and this is going to be on the third stage right now. So in third stage, everything is going to open. So we're just waiting for the third stage.
So
Yeah.
isn't it going to be very bit difficult for you to commute for job when
So it's gonna be while we are going there. Like tentatively, we are not going this year. We'll again start going from next year. Like this is what my manager told me. Like this is what is going to happen in most of the companies actually in Canada right now.
so like in India
So
there
this
has
is
been a lot of layoff and furlough. So has employment been affected in Canada?
yeah. There are near about 1 million people have applied for CERB. So CERB is a kind of amount which the Canadian government gives to any kind of person who lost their job. So 1 million people have actually applied for these things like these things. Yeah.
So
So
many
yeah,
people
now
are
actually the
uncertain.
situations are going good. People are getting back to the job. So hopefully things will be good in the upcoming months.
Hope so, hope
Yeah.
so. I seriously
Yeah.
hope so because it's a lot of uncertainty out there, and there's a lot of conflict
Yeah.
resolution which needs to be
Hmm.
addressed on ground. And many
Yeah.
people and
Definitely.
many aspirants are now holding hands to wait for the
I
next
know.
year to make
I know.
things better career wise.
Yeah. There are actually a lot of people actually contacting me through LinkedIn and other things. Like they wanted to come here in Canada to start their courses. Some people are there who are ready for job, but they couldn't find any job. So there are very complications right now, which is happening. Hopefully by next year things will be good. Yeah, let's see what happens.
So,
Yeah.
Nishan,
Yeah.
we'll start the interview. We'll start the session, and
Sure.
I'll just share my screen to start with.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
To Firstly, to begin with, I am Shreya, and
Hi.
I am co-founder for the Early Birds Club. And
Okay.
the idea of the club is to reach out to more aspirants and more people with who have entrepreneurial ambitions, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't know where to start from. So when you go to
Sure.
Google or you YouTube something, there is a lot of ideas out there, but only
Exactly.
people who are facing the ground reality, they can actually only answer the proper questions which is related to any field. So currently
Yes.
the field today we are addressing is a business analyst and how the role of an operation manager works. So there is going to be a lot of questions regarding those areas, and these questions are all from different portals which I have picked up, where a lot of students have been asking these questions but they don't get a suitable answer, because
Yeah.
many people who are answering are either counselors or they are teachers or professors, but then they are not the one who will
Mm-hmm.
fit in that same shoe. So
Yeah, I understand that.
yes,
Yeah.
so I think you would be the best person to address such questions. So I'll just
Mm-hmm.
go forward and I'll
Yeah.
share my screen.
Sure. Thank you so much.
So I hope my screen is visible to you.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So, Nishan, welcome to the Early
Yeah.
Birds Club, and I'm more than
Thank you.
grateful to that you decided to be a part of this drive. And on a very short notice, you have come up to join the session today for a question answers routine. So we'll start
No.
with the session. I hope my
Yeah.
screen is visible with you.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay.
Thank you so much for inviting, first of all. It's good. Yeah, we are here. So
I'm
yeah,
more
you can
than
go ahead.
happy that you're part of the same. And
Yeah.
to start with, this is a small
Mm-hmm.
insight for those who are going to view this video
Okay.
and this entire session. I would be uploading the recordings of the same on our YouTube
Mm-hmm.
channel, as well as our news partners and our media partners, that is News
Okay.
Sense and Incredible India. They are going to share the same with the audience. So this will be
Understood.
providing a wide. This will open the floor for many questions from many
Yeah.
people who want to have a look into this segment, this particular segment of field or job opportunity, whatever you can call it. So
Mm-hmm.
from your perspective, we are going to get a lot of reality check for this field. So,
Yeah.
Nishan, to start with, this O2 drive is an obstacle to opportunity drive. This is a,
Mm-hmm.
this is a, we have designed this forum so that people can be more connected to the fields they are looking to go into. Because
Yeah.
sometimes what we choose as a career path might not be the same, it might not turn out to be the same when we step into it. So there are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
questions which comes up before we start entering that particular genre or section of education. So we are going to start with the O2 Drive. I just want to give a brief introduction about you. So
Yeah.
Nishan, would you like to introduce yourself? Because I think you have done pretty amazing in your career, and you should be open to this floor to introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting, Ankit. So basically, I have done engineering, like mechanical engineering from SRM University. After that, I have worked for around 4 years in Vika, which is the inventor of cement. So they have started a company in India. So I have worked there for around 4 years as an operation analyst and an engineering planning and monitoring department. So I was reporting to the CEO of Vika. So this is an opportunity which helped me in learning different line of business. So this asked me to further study in taking an MBA and taking a specialization in operations, and I came here in Canada. So after that, I joined Brock University, where I'm currently in co-op term. So I have almost completed my studies. Now I'm working in Hydro One. So this Hydro One is a kind of public company. So here we are distributing and transmitting electric supplies. So I'm working here as a supply chain business analyst currently. So yeah, that's what me.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Nishayan, very interesting to know about your journey so far.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to know that when you call yourself a supply chain business analyst, who
Yeah.
is exactly a supply chain business analyst from a layman's point
Mm-hmm.
of view?
Yeah.
How can you explain it? And what career path have you probably followed to fulfill your current role? What has made you self sufficient to be a part of
Mm-hmm.
such a role?
Understood. So basically, business analyst, what business analyst does? So business analyst try to gather all the technical data and try to analyze all those things. So being a supply chain business analyst, what I do normally is I kind of get all the data and all the technical data and do analysis. And after that, I found like I do a rigorous analysis with of everything. From that, I trying to create an like an impression where I can increase the productivity and also improve the efficiency of the plant. So I kind of create a lot of reports. So business analyst creates like a lot of reports. So in my supply chain, I create. I am the one who is actually responsible for reporting. So there are certain reportings which I'll tell you. So burn rate reports. So burn rate reports is kind of a report where we'll get tracks whichever are currently active. So those amount we have spent, how much is left, so that we can get the current ideas. So how whether we are over budgeting or whether we are over focusing or not. So these are the burn rates. Then we do a lot of like receiving index. So suppose a material which was supposed to receive on day one, it has received on day 10th. So there's a 9 days gap. So we are losing the efficiency there, right? So this is kind of report which gives us how much ahead of the time we are getting the material or how much delay we are doing it in getting the orders. So these are one things. Then I do some kind of internal auditing from the vendor masters. Suppose we use SAP as the software where we put all the database, do all the finances. So whether the supply SAP are actually registered or not. So misuse of it, right? So sometimes there can be a vendor which doesn't belongs to our group, but sometimes have added by any mind mistake or deliberately or not. So I do an internal audit of those. Then we check the moving average price. Suppose in 2018 we bought some material, so which was like $10. Now in 2020 it has become $20. So the average price of this material is $15. So kind of get an idea of what product is it and what is the moving average price of all those kind of material. So, as your next question was, what made me like to fulfill this job description, right? So, this is the thing is actually you will adapt after gaining an experience. So, wherever like whoever is working in supply chain business analyst, you will see whether they have like 2 or 3 years of experience in operations and have a relevant background to it, or else you will not know the overall process of how actually we are ordering, how we are actually getting the material. So for that, experience matters actually, I would say.
So, Shayan, we have also heard of the term called data analyst. So, is
Yeah.
business analyst and data analyst a different role altogether?
Yeah, the role of data analyst is kind of very limited. So data analyst, what data analyst does is kind of they come in and then they analyze. The business analyst, what they knows, they also take the data and try to analyze. At the same time, they knows the business aspects. So which data are important and which data are relevant to the business needs. So we trying to capture those data actually. So being a layman who doesn't know about the business side, so they kind of like capture all the data, but all the data are not helpful. So being a business analyst and getting all those experiences at the same time helps you become a proper business analyst actually.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I had
Mhm.
always heard of the term business analyst, but I was always
Mhm.
confused at what they actually do
Yeah.
about it. So
Yeah, I
now,
understand that.
since you have made, came so far in your journey, and right now you're
Mhm.
currently working with a organization, you how was the transition from engineering to MBA? So it is the most interesting question which has been asked many times over the internet. That
Mhm.
why do actually students go? They switch their career from a technical,
Yeah.
honor to a altogether to a management segment.
Yeah.
And how has your journey personally been so far?
I understand that because people say like engineering guys should not go for MBAs, should not they should stick on those engineering. But when you work in engineering companies and you see the management, the CEOs, the CFOs, the all the COOs, you will see everybody has those management like tagline on their name. Either they have done MBA or they have done some executive courses from him. Why? Because when we are in engineering, we know all the engineering terms. We are very good at those engineering skills. But like if you take my example, when I was doing MBA, like the engineering jobs in operation field, I was doing all those. Like I was given a task to analyze all the production cost, optimizing those things and everything. But whenever we look inside, there are certain things like if a big project is coming, we are looking for like capital budgeting, what is the net profitability index. So whenever this terms comes up, my CEO of the company used to delegate to the CFOs or the business analyst team to work out on those things. So I was kind of like uh, pretty surprised that even the CEO and CFOs are every time busy on those kind of tasks. So that actually created a drive in me to learn all those things, because when you were being an engineer, we knows all those technical terms we know, and after coming to MBA I have learned all those things like the finances, the present value, future value, then like a lot of the managerial accounting, which are the important things. So I was actually working in Vika, also manufacturing excellence program. So in this manufacturing excellence program, every team, whether you are in engineering team, production team, HR, or everyone was targeting on reducing the operation cost. So basically, they are all technical guys. They are coming from different backgrounds. Somebody is BA, somebody is like engineering field, somebody is in commerce field. But we have a single target of reducing the operation cost. But they don't know how to do that, right? So I was the one who was explaining them. Suppose you are an HR department, so what are the steps you have to follow so that it can reduce the operation cost or the production cost? Similarly, in engineering department, what can the engineering department do to reduce the operation cost? So engineer has the most like I would say the most data analytics type of mind. So they can know the technical side as well as as well.
It won't be wrong to say that a engineer turned MBA person, he would have all kind of skills in the right ratio. Everything is in the right
Yeah,
mix because you would have your
yeah,
technical knowledge at place. That would
yeah,
help you to go and
exactly,
transition into the research part, and then you
exactly.
also have the leadership qualities because you have done a
Correct,
management program which has made
correct.
you familiar with certain terms or certain aspects of management which is
Yeah.
required on the field.
So usually, if you see a company when they take a management training program, so initially they won't like send you directly to the like the corporate office or sitting in the like with the desk or anything. So it has worked for me as well. Like so, initially I was in the plant for 1.5 years. I was in the core maintenance team. So I was learning all the maintenance work, all the engineering works. I have worked in the mechanical department, instrumentation, electrical. I have kind of learned all the base thing. Then I have shifted to corporate office where I was assigned to the role of operations analyst. So yeah, being a technical guy is the most important thing actually.
Yes, yes, I agree. And
Yeah.
when we talk about when we are having a conversation about a career path to choose,
Mhm.
we come to a very basic fact that business analytical career growth has shown a very excellent outlook so
Mhm.
far. As
Yeah.
based on the research in 2016, the number of jobs for all US business analysts were increasing from there was a steep increase from 3,64,000 openings to almost 2 crore 7 lakh 20,000 openings so far. So when you talk about business analyst, what is the scope of the job? There has been a very wide spectrum that the business analyst role is spread across all the segments of a company, whether it is they're
Yeah.
handling, they influence the financial part also, they influence
Yeah.
operational part also, and they also take over research part. So do you
Correct.
think that this scope actually balances out the entire working of an organization?
Yeah. Sure. So business analyst is a kind of role which acts as a bridge in between like fulfilling the gap of like all the technical data as well as the finance data, so they kind of create a bridge where they fill the gap actually. So what business analyst basically does, so they kind of create all like take all the history data, all the technical data, and try to create a forecast or do a budgeting from which all the finance department can use all those data and create a cost analysis, so they can predict like in future this will be my costs and that will be my net income. So with those things, who actually helps them to getting all those data are the business analysts who are actually taking all the data whichever are needed. They are not taking all the data, so they are taking all the calculative data which are important in creating the balance sheet, in forecasting the income statement, and try to help all the other departments like in estimating and forecasting the future values as well. So these are
Okay.
the things actually.
So that means that a business analyst actually needs to be in every segment, be a part, be a role partner in every segment of a company, whether it is financial or whether it is a HR
Yeah.
department, because all the things work out in a way which
Hmm.
depends on your forecasting or whatever outcomes you have shown for the future. So all the decision making stays on the shoulder of a business analyst. Correct?
Yeah. So you can see like there are a lot of softwares nowadays. Like people are working in Excel as well as they're using add-ins like SQL, VBA, macros, then Tableau, all those software. What this software does, this software kind of like uh, creates like takes the data and analyze all the data whatever are there and try to give you an expression actually what will be in future and what in which path you are heading, whether you are heading on the correct path, whether you are like increasing or decreasing. Then try to give you a forecast of what will be happening in the future. So like nowadays in US, in Canada, business analyst is the most crucial department, I would say. Like in every company you will see, whether it is IT company, finance company, insurance company, everywhere the role might be different in everywhere based on the business needs and based on the services of the company. But business analyst is the like a very trending department right nowadays in the company, and I would say in future as well.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shayan.
Yeah.
And coming to when we talk about skills which are required for this particular role you are in. So, as
Mhm.
per the recent McKinsey report, it says that almost 45% of business analysts they hold a bachelor's degree only, whereas
Mhm.
34.3% hold a master degree as well. So when you
Yeah.
talk about the proportion in which this is distributed, do you feel that the education system is preparing us well enough to pursue this role post graduation itself only, based on purely experience and not on a degree?
Yeah. So if you take my opinion, I would say experience is the most important thing. So you will see like all the MBA courses, whichever are there in like after coming from India, like in India, the big IIM companies like IIMs and in US, Canada, or other in European countries, like the top B schools, all of them are looking for candidates who have like at least 3 years of experience before like scrutinizing them as well. So this creates an impression like you need to have those experience where you have to know the overall business, you have to know the overall process of the industry. Without that you cannot like simply like come in the course and learn all those in the MBA and go and deliver in the work. It will be very difficult for them. I have seen like there are few people who came right after completing the like the graduate. For them it is very difficult for them to cope up. Getting a job is not important, surviving in the job is the most important thing. So what they will do, they will like tend to switch the department or tend to move to other department after that. So what basically I want to say is when you have those experience, the undergrad degree and with the experience, you make a perfect composition. After that, when you do an MBA course, that will make you sense. Like you will not know what are the production costs, what are the parameters of those, right? So when the professor will teach you all those things, you will just get the bookish knowledge which are not enough, right? So when you can relate with your personal experience, whatever you have faced in the companies, then only you can realize all those things and come up with better solution. You can actually give solution to your company and in improvement projects and all those things. These things, everything comes whenever you will have experience. When you have faced what are the things which went wrong, so from those things you try to learn, and you can utilize all those things in the like the company. So like mostly I would say like people from computer science background, they try to go in a business analyst position. So they can do good, but the growth is very limited. When you will get the master's degree, when you will get the MBAs and other like the management courses, then only you can know what are the business needs. So with the composition of undergrad experience and a master course, you can be a proper good manager, like who can actually manage a team, manage a project. So these are the essential qualities which are needed in business analyst and other important like managerial roles.
No. Thank you so much. I think this is going to be a lot of help for those who had this question on the plate,
Yeah.
and they were trying to find that whether it is a conscious decision to go into and pursue a master's degree just to be a business analyst, or there is a lot
I
more to
know.
it. So,
Yeah, I know.
coming to
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
role
go ahead, man.
particularly, this is a question based on your current role and profile.
Mhm.
I would
Yeah.
like to know that how have you been helping companies that to reduce the operation and production costs, and do
Yeah.
they adhere to your decision making to
Mhm.
to make sure that this cost is actually reaching to that minimal level, or you have to impose those changes all by yourself?
Yeah. So it actually depends. actually depend of product we are preparing, whether it is a service industry or a manufacturing industry. So just to give you an example of manufacturing industry, what we basically do is like we try to for manufacturing parameters, suppose power or how many electricity consumptions, whichever, like some companies are using coal, some companies are using diesel, petrol. So based on everything, we trying to create producing a single lot where the expenses is this much. Now we trying to break it down to a single unit. So for producing one unit, how much cost actually we have like it incurred. So for that, we try to create all the parameters, like important parameters. What are the parameters that are needed for like securities, HR, engineering departments, suppose instrumentation. What are the costs that are being incurred for producing that particular product? So based on that, we try to create like, okay, this is the important section where most of the 80% of the money is coming from that. So we try to create, again, we are trying to go deep into that. So what are the important parameters? Can we substitute the fuel? Can we do an alternate fuel for those? And what are the steps to reduce the power cost? Like, can we do some engineering? Can we do some lean manufacturing? Can we do some lean initiatives to reduce the electricity cost even more further? Suppose we try to create an inventory. So what will should be the inventory? How much it should be? Like what are the inventory needed for the next month's sale? How much it should be there? So based on that, this works for the manufacturing companies. When you go for the retail industries, it is completely different. So in retail industries, we try to create. We have learned in our MBAs like the 80-20 rule. So 80-20 rule is a basic concept. Like we should keep the inventories. The 80% of the material should be the low cost materials. So we have to segregate first all the materials. So whatever the material, whichever are there in your retail sorry, warehouse. So what are the material that have been there? What are the prices of those material? So we tend to create 80% of the material which are in the inventory should be the low cost material, and only 20% of the material should be the expensive one. So this will help you in minimizing the inventory cost, and ultimately you can win in the operation cost. Similarly, there are so many other things just in time. So whenever you need the material, then only you should order. So you should create a just in time method of with like connecting with the suppliers whenever the material is required. So some items are perishable items. So you have to order right on time. Like you should not order in bulk. Keep it in your inventory, and certainly if the sales are not good, then those material will be lost, right? So we have to be in the touch point. Like whenever we need the material, we should bring those materials. So we have to create like a media. Like people are using so many softwares for that, so that they are connected with the suppliers. So whenever the suppliers can see actually, so there are 8 materials available in the warehouse. Whenever the number comes to 5, automatically you don't have to order. The supplier will send you automatically like 3 more units. So all those things comes up when you want to like reduce the operation or the production costs. So yeah, it all depends on the like the company to company.
So that means every company they actually take in they hold business analysts accountable for all the changes they are going to bring in for the next annual session. Do they
So
hold only business analytics, or is there any other segment of a company which who also decide the same in what changes should be brought
So basically, all those things comes under operations. So all the companies have an operation department. So operation department is segregated to certain other departments as who actually manages the accounting and all those things. So the chain analysts, they do all those strategy, all those logistics. They try to make strategies on logistics and operations. So they will sit together. They will be having a cross-functional team, one from operations, one from supply chain, one from accounting and everything. So they will get all the data from them, and all together they will create a like a mix of strategies where you don't have to worry about all those like all the things whatever the changes are required. So they create a business model. In that model, everybody will have certain duties. So without like this should be actually this should be ideal in every other companies, like every companies. So every time if you want to make a strategies, it will be a difficult thing, right? So if you have goals, so department they comes together and they try to create a business plan. So their role is not limited to us whenever based on the business needs, they kind of create all the strategies actually.
True, true. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Because there has been a lot of analogy behind this that only if
Mhm.
business analysts are doing all the research work, then what are the other segments held accountable for? So I think this answers
Yeah,
the
yeah,
questions. And
yeah. This is not true actually. Yeah, it's a combination of everyone.
yes, true, true. A
Yeah,
company works on all the pillars of a organization. So,
yeah, actually.
coming to organizational thought, this is a very question. This is a question which I think that people who have a certain kind of experience in giving counseling to
Mhm.
entrepreneurs or upcoming or budding business owners. I
Yeah,
had seen it through your profile, and you had done a certification regarding this. So
yeah.
you are a certified
In
counselor.
entrepreneurship, yeah.
Yes, yes, you have done an
Yeah.
entrepreneurship certificate. So I think you can give us a basic insight that what are the key things that one should remember before starting a business.
So yeah, so these things I have learned while I've taken the MBA classes. So in the entrepreneurship classes which I have taken, this courses actually taught us like a lot of things actually. So the basic thing what my professor actually keeps on telling us. So the basic thing is the industry analysis. So there you will see like a lot of young generation they try to start a business. Initially it will run very good, or suppose you're earning a lot, but after like 2 3 years you will see the business is dooming. You are not doing the proper research. The first thing is the industry analysis. You we have learned the 37 percentage of the industry succeed because they are in the right industry. The 70% of work you have to do, but 30% of the work it's already done because you are in the right industry. If you are in the right industry, and the chances of growth is like really higher. So what I will just give you some brief introduction about it. So basically you have to do some business plan. So in business plan, what it should be, it should have the company description first of all. What what kind of business you are doing? What are the are you a product business, or are you in a service business? What kind of products you are producing? You have to create a mission and vision statement of your company, so that all the employees and whatever the workers are there in your company, they try to work for a single goal. So the goal should be the important thing, whether it is gaining a lot of money, as well as creating an impression in the society. So the goal should be the most important thing. The third thing, as I said, is the industry analysis. You have There are a lot of websites, there are paid websites, unpaid websites, there are a lot of websites. So I'll just name few of them, like IBIS, which is a very helpful website where you can go and search about the industry analysis. So before starting any industry, you have to look for the industry trend. What are the history datas? Whether it is growing industry or it is like declining. So you have to go through the industry analysis. So wherever you are opening your businesses, you have to check the market segment. What are the market segment? How is about your competitors? So what kind of marketing strategy you have to adopt to survive in the industry? The next thing is operation plan. Suppose you need a pen, so you have to how you need a pen in a department. So you have to create an overall process. So one department orders for a pen, the purchase department gets the request, they try to take the RFP and RFQ, like a request for proposal and request for quotation. From there it will get finalized. Then you will contact the vendors. Finally you have the payment. Thing or the overall operation plan. Departments in an organization, in every organization there should be HR, finance, accounting, operation, marketing. And next time is the timeline. Whatever you are doing and starting a business, you have to have a timeline. So by this date we need to finish this one, by that date we have to finish this one, which will help you in starting the business well in advance. And when you are doing the competitive analysis and the industry analysis, so the timeline makes a huge impact on those things. The next is the financial plans. So you have to actually calculate how many products or services you have to sold to at least come into the break even point, at least where there is no loss, no profit, at least to the break even point. How many materials you at least have to sell in a month, in a day, in a year, like that kind of thing. So these are the most important thing which I have learned in the entrepreneurship process.
And I think these are the basic, basic key
Yeah,
things to keep in mind when you start a business. Because as you said, that many small businesses, they have taken a kickstart in the initial years, but then as we move subsequently, they seem to dissolve with themselves in the market, or they
correct.
seem to dismiss the ideas of the market,
Yeah,
what critics are there in the market. And when they don't update themselves or they don't do a lot of market research, they seem to
correct.
vanish in thin air.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think this is a very important part which you mentioned, that
Mhm.
market research or industrial research is the most important thing
Yeah,
before stepping
correct.
into starting a business actually. So when we are talking about business, there is a very key term which has been very prominent these days, that is entrepreneurs. This is a very interesting question for me because I am right now stepping into the same shoe, and I am also on the verge of starting at the age of starting entrepreneurial club.
Yeah,
So this is very
yeah,
globally. This is known as a unicorn club because initial days entrepreneurs were very limited because many people had an idea
correct.
inside the room in the mind, but they were not implementing it because
Mhm.
they didn't had a plan to
Yeah.
follow. Right now there are a lot
Mhm.
of mentors out there who are doing mentoring for entrepreneurs or people who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs, and there is a lot of continuous innovation which is involved in the entrepreneurial journey, which helps them to keep a sign of a healthy economy. And also
Yeah,
entrepreneurs have been known to develop a country's general output. They have
yeah.
made sure that the GDP rises and the knowledge stock is more on the in the market. So do you
Mhm.
feel that now when we are having so many budding entrepreneurs out there with so many ideas and plans, do you think a lot of there should be more entrepreneurial based education or certification? The need is more right now in the current scenario more than ever.
So, like the education and like creating a going for a course for entrepreneurship is most important thing before starting any company. So, as I said, like few people start their businesses and they don't know how to manage all those things. So, entrepreneurship program actually teaches you all the things and help you in learning a lot of strategies. I'll just briefly describe like few strategies which the entrepreneurs actually like in the entrepreneurship classes which they taught us actually. The pestle analysis, this is the most important strategy whenever you are starting any kind of like entrepreneurship. So briefly describing is the pestle, the if I derive it, is like P for politics, E for like economics, and S for society, and T for technology. So McKinsey, a very big company called, it was the market leader in the photography section. So but now when you are going for buying any camera, do you see any kind of Kodak cameras? You won't see any Kodak cameras nowadays. So they didn't do the technological improvement, the technological update. They should have gone with the DSLR technologies, like the new modified cameras. They should have gone with those things. So if you are not doing all those like pastel analysis and other market like all those strategies which we are not aware of, then at a time there will come at a time when you will lose everything. So in the entrepreneurship courses, we have learned the basic classes. In the basic classes, we have learned about what went wrong. So we try to like learn all the mistakes of others so that we should not do all those mistakes. So we should learn from their mistakes. So these are the most important thing. Then comes the marketing, four P's: the price, promotion, place, and product. So these are the basics of marketing which you have to know. So where you are, what is the price which you are putting up for your businesses? What are the product you are like producing? How you are promoting your business, and in which place you are actually doing your business. These are the four basic principles of marketing. So you have to know all those four principles of marketing. Then comes the three C's in marketing. So customer, competitors, and company. So you have to be in the sweet spot among all those three things. So you have to know all those strategies. Then the most important thing is the Porter's five forces. So these are the strategies which actually help you in like overcoming challenges which you will face in the companies, in every companies. So the Porter's five forces teach us like threats of new entries. What are the new entries like which can enter in the same businesses? Then threat of substitution, which Kodak faced. They were the market leaders, but there comes the Kodak, the Canons and other companies which have substituted their products. Then the bargaining power of customers, the bargaining power of suppliers, rivalry amongst the competitors. So these are the five forces of Porters which you have to know, help you to go in the market and to take preventive action rather than like suffering in the losses or like doing bad in the industry. So this actually helps in overcoming like a lot of challenges actually.
Brilliant idea, because when you talk about innovation or knowledge talk, when you are talking about it, there is the
Mhm.
need of the hour is that people should be skilled enough and they should be knowing all the terminologies which are used while stepping into the business
Yeah,
segment, right?
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think
And
this is,
yeah,
yes,
go ahead, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I'm just saying like these are the important strategies which all the entrepreneurs have developed after coming all those challenges. So we should know all those like the important strategies, so which you can apply to any businesses, and I'm sure you'll succeed after that.
True. So, do you what any entrepreneur program which you suggest, which you have explored, which you think that which you feel might help people who are aspiring to be into this segment?
There are actually a lot of programs in LinkedIn. So you can go for lynda.com in LinkedIn Learning, and there are free courses which are going on right now for like conducting because of this COVID-19. Stanford University and Harvard University are conducting like a lot of free courses. You should like actually who are interested in learning those entrepreneurship skills, they should go for these classes. And when you go for lynda.com, you can actually like type for entrepreneurship courses, and you can connect me in LinkedIn and see my certification which I have done in basics of entrepreneurship. So you can take those as well. So there are a lot of courses actually out in the market. So any of the course will be helpful in somehow. But I would say like for all young entrepreneurs, they should actually have some kind of courses, some kind of certifications, some kind of knowledge about the companies, the industry before starting any industries. Actually.
Okay. So I'll make sure that Nishan, I also introduce your LinkedIn ID on the bio of
Mhm.
the entire session, so that
Sure.
students who are out there, they can always go to your LinkedIn profile and they can ask you questions or take your guidance
Yeah,
while they're stepping into
definitely.
something. So
Yeah, definitely. I love to.
Nishan, thank you so much for your insights and welcome on board to the Early Birds Club. And I know
Thank you
just
so much for
we
inviting. Actually.
Yes, and we
Yeah.
have a lot to know about you yet. And I hope that once this is online, we are going to put in a
Mhm.
lot of, we are going to collate a lot of questions which are going to come from the people who are actually going to view this
Mhm.
video.
Yeah.
We'll find some time out and we'll try to conduct a webinar session with those
Okay.
students or students or working people who need more insight on entrepreneurial program and the operational segment or
Sure.
your role. So they must be
Sure.
having a lot of
Definitely.
questions out there which they
Yeah.
feel are not answered fully, or they are very
Mhm.
much filtered or biased answers to them. So
Yeah.
you will be the best person to answer them. So
Yeah. Sure.
I'm going to put up this recording and share the recording of this entire session in a
Yeah.
day or two, and share it
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
our media partner, that is News Sense and Hamara India Incredible. So,
Okay.
so Nishayan, basically our idea behind doing this entire O2 drive, it is to make sure that we are going to we want to make the make in India dream big, because there is a lot of talent in India, and we believe a lot of small business startup would help to pull up the economy, as well as they are also going to shift the hurdles or the hustles which are there in employment, in terms of when it comes to employment in India. They are going to shift that tangent from unemployment to increasing employment in India. So we
Correct.
want to create a more on the ground experience for students in India. So that is why this O2 drive. And thank you so much for being part of the same. Sure. Thank you so much, Nishayan. And take care.
Thank you
Have
so
a
much.
nice
Thank you so much. Yeah, you too. Take care and stay safe.